Hello, my name is Vinicius Garamats. I work for IBM as a design and architect for Maximo. Today I'm going to present what you can do beyond what is provided out of the box with the new inspection module. So as you know, Maximo is very flexible and configurable, and we achieve these results to expand the utilization of the new inspection module with the receiving process of Maximo. So just a reminder that these are actually configurations that I did in Maximo to achieve that result. Being configuration, IBM is really supporting you on those, although any custom code, any extension that you might have to do to implement your own processes is your responsibility. So to execute inspections in the inventory receiving app, if you remember what we have in Maximo today, you can flag an inventory item to have inspections as a required action during the receiving. So what we added is really the ability for you to plan for an inspection to be executed during the receiving using the new inspection module, in order to not just have a status change saying that the inspection is actually completed at the end of the receiving process, but really to collect an inspection result using the new inspection module before really completing that inspection during the receiving. And more than that, we are really preventing the user from changing the inspection status on the receiving side if the inspection result was not really tracked. So a high-level process on how inspections actually work. So we have the planning process, and in this case, we are going to create a checklist to execute during the receiving process. And we are going to plan that for that inspection by the moment we are creating the purchase order. Then we are going to execute the inspection itself during the receiving. And more than that, the historical inspection result would be associated to the receiving as well to this PO for historical tracking. At this moment, we are not really taking any action, but that's something that you can really implement if it's required. So I'm going to present quickly how that was done in Maximo, and you will find in a future video that the instructions actually how to configure that in your own Maximo instance. So let me start with the Manage Inspection Forms application. And for this example, we are going to create a form to be performed, to be collected during the inspection, the inventory receiving process. So let's call this bearing inspection. So in order to differentiate my forms from existing forms, I created a new value in this domain to call receiving inspections. I'm going to add instructions for this inspection, and then I'm going to define what is going to be my checklist. In this case, it's quite generic. So let's check for if there are any damages on these packages. Maybe the responses are yes, no, and this is going to be a required response. And following the same template, let's create another question. So is there marking finishing on these packages? Using the same answers and one more question. So attributes. In this case, let's add another comment here. Are they according to the specification? And then, so this is a quick example about the items that I'm going to check during this receiving. So you can configure the form, you can set up whatever you want to check during that receiving process. So in order to achieve that, I created really two cloned applications in Maximo. One is actually a clone of the PO, where I'm going to acquire like 3 new bearings. My vendor is going to be SKF. And the items that I want to acquire actually are items from my inventory. So if I select one of these items that I have in my inventory, let me define the quantity, 3 each conversion factory 1 unit cost 15. And I'm going to charge this to central store room. Okay, so as you could see, it came from my inventory definition that there is an inspection required for this one. And using conditional UI in Maximo and new attribute on the PO line, I added the ability to define a form that I'm going to use to perform this inspection during the receiving. It's a conditional UI. Every time that inspection is required, I'm enforcing here an inspection form to be informed. But this is optional. You can configure these in different ways. So now let me go really to the receiving application. And once I select my PO that I have approved for this receiving, I'm going really to select the order item. So let me select this particular one that I've ordered. And let's just perform the receiving of one box, for example. By the moment I create this receiving and I save this record, there is a script that I created, and it's part of this post on how to set it up. But basically, every time that I have a receipt that is waiting for an inspection, I'm also creating a pending inspection result for me to execute. So at this point in time, if I try to change this inspection status to complete, I also have another script that is checking for that inspection and presenting a message. So let me use the application link and go to the conduct an inspection application in order to record the inspection result for this particular receiving. So essentially, I have the instructions that I added to my form. I'm going to inspect this receiving. Okay, there is no damage, no marking, no attributes, and done. I really completed my inspection at this moment. So right now, if I try to change really the status of my inspection to complete in order to proceed with the receiving process, now it will allow me to continue and transfer this to a different storeroom. So if I want to go back and see what was actually this inspection result, it's recorded there, it's associated to this receipt. If I have many receipts, each one of them would have its own inspection record, and so on. So this is actually the objective of this demonstration, and some of the things that you can do using the new inspection module with Maximo. Thanks for attending. If you want to see more details on how to do that, check the next video available also in our Maximo Asset Management Wiki. Thank you.